Greetings, it is fluorescent light time once again, and the light I have to show you today is really cool because it is the smallest hot cathode fluorescent lantern I've ever seen. Also, I do believe that these are slightly rare. This is a Radio Shack fluorescent pocket flashlight, and it was made around 1999. I bought this on eBay. I paid in total about $15 for it. The seller had it on there for $20 or best offer. I offered $9 and they accepted. And then it of course had $3 shipping and another $3 to bring it to Canada. So I got this for a pretty good deal. And of course, as you can see, it came in the box. And it also came with the original owner's manual, and it was probably never used. So, let's take a look at the box here. We have a Radio Shack part number, fluorescent pocket flashlight. There's what it looks like. Lightweight, compact design, 5-watt Osram fluorescent bulb, as bright as a 25-watt incandescent bulb. Yes, this lantern was actually made by Osram, and Osram also marketed it themselves. They marketed it under two different names. In North America, it was called the Osram Deluxe Mini, and overseas they sold it as the Osram Deluxe Pocket. And Radio Shack got the license or whatever to put their own name on it, so they sold it in Radio Shack stores. Back in the day, if I remember right, if you wanted one of these, you would pay, I believe, $10 to $15 for one of these. Radio Shack discontinued these in 2002, and around that time, you could pick up one of these for as little as $2 or $3. So yes, this was made by Osram, and it apparently has an Osram fluorescent bulb in it. There's a huge asterisk there with the whole Osram thing, which I'll talk about later. So if we look on the side here, lightweight, compact design, easy to carry in your pocket or purse, clips to your belt or waistband. And on the other side, 5-watt Osram fluorescent bulb, as bright as a 25-watt incandescent bulb. On the back, don't be left in the dark. The Radio Shack fluorescent pocket flashlight's lightweight and compact design makes it easy to carry in your pocket or purse. No more fumbling with your keys in the dark. With the bright 5-watt Osram fluorescent bulb, you can also use your pocket flashlight to illuminate dark walkways. Use a convenient belt clip with your pocket flashlight to ensure you're seen by motorists when walking or jogging at night. Requires 2 AA batteries. Custom manufactured in China for Radio Shack, a division of Tandy Corporation, Fort Worth, Texas. Yes, so there is the box and everything on it. Let's open it up. So the unit is wrapped in a foam sleeve, just like that. There's the foam sleeve. There's the owner's manual, which we'll look at in a minute. And here's the unit itself. As you can see, this thing is small, and that is part of what's so cool about it. You can see the bulb there. It is a 5-watt PL bulb. It is actually a standard size bulb. And another really cool thing, it's cool white. None of that daylight crap. I'm not a big fan of daylight. Don't mind decent daylight bulbs. As a matter of fact, I'm very used to my 1995 desk lamp with the daylight bulb now. But yes, this has a cool white bulb, which is very awesome because it's the only modern fluorescent lantern I've ever seen that used something other than daylight. Looking around here, of course, it's covered by a lens here, which is removable, although I will not be removing it for this video because it is hard to remove and there is risk breaking it. We have an on-off switch. Simple as that. Radio Shack logo. On the back, we have absolutely nothing. This thing takes 2 AA batteries, and the battery compartments are here and here, 1 AA each. You can see the belt clip there. To open up the battery compartments, it's kind of strange. It took me a while when I first got this thing to figure it out because I was scared to break it. But what you do is you push them out until they stop, like that, and they won't move any farther. And then, for example, on this one, you can see the arrow on it. I actually have to twist it like that to get it to come off, and it snaps off, just like that. And the other one, and there you go. Don't like that design. It feels like you could break something, and as a matter of fact, on later versions of these, Osram actually improved the battery cover design so you didn't have to do that weird twisty thing. 2 AA batteries go in there. So I will set that aside and we'll look at the manual. Okay, here's the manual, a little fold-out thing. I will scroll down and you can read it if you want. Specifies you can use rechargeable, that's pretty cool. $19.99. Electrical rating, 3 volts, 5 watts. And you got a really paltry warranty with these, just a 90-day warranty. We service what we sell. No, they used to service what they sell. Then they quit making their own stuff, and they just went completely stupid. Now they're a stupid cell phone retailer. Anyhow, if we look inside the box, I assume that's some sort of date code in 1999, possibly May of 1999, May 1st, or perhaps January the 5th, I don't know. Alright, I think now it's high time to turn this thing on. I've got 2 AA batteries that I use for my digital camera. The camera says they are low, so I don't know if they'll have enough power to fire this thing up, but hopefully they will. So, we put the batteries in, and to put the battery covers back on. Also, the battery covers are not interchangeable, so you need to put the right one on the right place. Just put it like that and snap it down, and then push it in. Okay, now let's turn it on. And there you go. Wow, this thing works really well. First of all, the bulb, of course, lights up nice and bright on this end, but as you can see near the ends of the bulb, it doesn't really light up much. Also, the lighting is not very even. It's brighter on this side than it is on this side. So I'm just going to assume that the ballast perhaps has biased AC. It's biased on one side, so most of the light is on one side. That's no big worry. But yes, this is very, very nice. It's very bright. The bulb, of course, has very nice color. It does start reliably. Not lightning quick, but it is a very reliable starting ballast. Now, regarding the asterisk associated with Osram, I do not think Osram had anything to do with the design or manufacture of this thing, or even Osram's own branded of these things at all. And I'll tell you why. First of all, if that is really an Osram bulb in there, I will eat the cat, because it is a very low quality bulb. Like I said, it's nice and bright, it has great color, but the bulb is otherwise really crappy, and I'll tell you why. If we turn it on here, I don't know if you'll be able to see, I'll put a picture up, but the phosphor application is horrible across the bulb. You know, there's places where it goes dark and light because the phosphor gets thinner and then it gets thicker, and the phosphor application is just really horrible. Second of all, the actual physical bulb itself has dents all over it. Like, the shaping of the glass was done so poorly that the bulb is filled with pits and divots and all sorts of stuff. If that's a real Osram bulb, you know, Osram's usually held in very high regard. I'll tell you what, I'll believe it if I ever see the proof, but I do not think this is an Osram bulb. And again, I don't think Osram made this thing at all. I'll tell you why. These were also sold under the Westinghouse brand name. I saw a Westinghouse one on eBay once, and right on the package it says, made by Catalina Lighting. I do not know who Catalina Lighting is, but I went to an old version of their website once on the Internet Archive, but I couldn't find anything to do with these, so that alone may be a mystery. But indeed, the Westinghouse ones, which are otherwise the exact same as the Radio Shack and Osram ones, they say Catalina Lighting. So for that reason, I think Osram themselves just licensed this from another company. I don't think they designed or manufactured this thing at all. Radio Shack apparently licensed these from Osram. I don't know if that's true or not. Perhaps Radio Shack went straight to this Catalina Lighting. I don't know. But anyway, yes, Osram introduced these, I think, around 1997 or 98 in North America and in Europe. Discontinued them in North America, I think, around 2006 or 7, and then discontinued them in Europe in 2010. And there were more versions of these. This was the basic model. There was also a model that had a built-in incandescent torch as well. And then there was one where it was just the lantern, but it was a bigger version, same size bulb, but the lantern itself was physically bigger, and it ran on 4 AA batteries instead of 2. Also, something that's really funny, these of course have a 5-watt bulb in them, and they're rated for having a 5-watt bulb, but in newer versions of these that Osram packaged, they actually advertised it as being a 3-watt bulb, even though it was the exact same 5-watt bulb. But I know why they changed the advertising from 5 watts to 3 watts. You can probably guess that being they only run on 2 AA batteries, these things don't provide the bulb with even close to 5 watts. These early units were actually better than the newer units. These early units provide the bulb with about 2 watts of power, so yeah, not very good. The bulb is severely underdriven. On the newer units, when they switched the advertising for 3 watts, power input is actually about 1.5 watts. So yes, the bulb is extremely underdriven on these things. However, there is something extremely cool about these, which is part of the reason I wanted one. Well, I would have wanted one anyway, just given how cool the physical design of it is. But something very cool on these that I've never seen on any other fluorescent lantern is that you can actually adjust the power output to the bulb. If you take one of these apart and open it up, I won't do it for this video, but if you open one of these up, there is a little variable resistor in there. And I don't know what that resistor directly controls, but functionally it controls the power output to the bulb. And you can adjust it so far as to get as much as 6 watts of input power. But there's a problem with that. Now, I'll be getting into a little bit of electrical theory here. When power travels through wires or other electric circuits, of course, you know, those wires or the circuitry may get a bit warm. And the more current that flows through it, the warmer it gets. Power is voltage times current. So there is a way to increase the amount of power you put through something without having to increase the current, and that of course is increasing the voltage. Let's say I have 3 volts and 1 amp going through something. 3 times 1, the power is 3 watts. Well, I can also get that 3 watts just by going 6 volts and half an amp. Even though the power is the same, because there's less current, the wires or the componentry won't get as hot, so you can transmit the same amount of power without having as much heat loss. And where am I going with this? Well, because it only runs on 2 AA batteries, so very low voltage, you need a lot of current to get the power for this bulb, even just for, 2 watts. That's quite a bit of current for 2 AA batteries to provide. The ballast in this thing gets quite warm, and if you have modified it to provide more power for the bulb, it gets even warmer. Now, I said that stock, these things provide the bulb with about 2 watts of power. Well, if we calculate that, 2 watts divided by 3 volts, current is about 2/3 of an amp. That already is a lot of current. Now, I have modified this particular light. I did increase the power input. The bulb on mine gets about 3.5 watts of power. Still not great, but a lot better than before. So yes, now to get 3.5 watts of power, 3.5 divided by 3 volts, that's how much current my unit is drawing, over an amp. So yeah, these things draw a ton of current in order to work. And with that being said, their ballast, especially the ones on modified ones like mine, they get very hot. I can tell you firsthand that when mine's been running for about 10 minutes, the ballast, the ballast is contained in the lower part here. It gets very, very warm. It's very hot to the touch. With that being said, if you get one of these and you decide to modify it to increase the power input, you have to be careful, because I would say the ballast is already stressed quite a bit just running the 2/3 of an amp stock. 1.2 amps, holy cow, you know, I'm surprised that people are able to do that to these things and the ballast not go on them. As a matter of fact, a guy on Lighting Gallery, who apparently owns quite a few of these, he once modified one. He turned the variable resistor up all the way to get 2 amps of current, so the input power was 6 watts, and he said the ballast got so hot that it started smelling. You know, you get that strong, stinky, burning electronic smell. So yeah, you really have to be careful with these. So with that being said, I have this thing running at about 3.5 watts. I could definitely go higher, but I've decided I'm not going to. I would just as soon just leave it where it is and save the risk of destroying the ballast. So, all in all, yes, I think it's very cool that they actually put a variable resistor on these so you could adjust the power. The purpose of the resistor was to, you know, work out variations between transistors in the ballast. So, you know, manufacturing errors. One unit might come out of the factory putting out less or more power than another, and so a technician or the factory workers or whatever during testing would adjust it so it was right. It's great that you can adjust the power on these, because of course not only is the unit a lot brighter, but the bulb won't wear out as quick either. As always, underdriving the bulb on an instant start ballast is quite detrimental to its lifetime. With that being said, speaking of the ballast in this thing, another really cool thing, this is not an instant start ballast, it's actually rapid start. The filaments of the bulb are actually connected to the circuitry. I would say that the filament heating power is probably negligible. There's probably not enough power going to the filaments to make any difference. But the fact that they actually were thoughtful in the design to make it so the filaments did get a tiny amount of power is very cool. So, given the current these things have to suck in order to do their job, you may have already guessed that battery life is quite awful. Stock, these are rated to have about 2 hours of runtime on a set of alkaline batteries. Since I've modified mine, I get about an hour and a half. So yeah, it is quite short, but for a handy light such as this, it's not really that important. The point of these were to be able to get a really bright light in a very small package. And this really does the job. You get a ton of light for these for how small they are, and very nicely colored light with that cool white bulb. Another thing about these is that the bulb is not replaceable. It is permanently soldered to the circuit board. You know, of course, a 5 watt PL bulb that you'd buy in a store has the connector on it with the 4 pins coming out of it. But when they made these things, they just took the connector right off the bulb to save space, and the wires are coming straight out of the glass and they're soldered right onto the circuit board. With that being said, it is possible to MacGyver a new bulb into these should the need arise. Someone on Lighting Gallery was successful in putting a new bulb in one of these when the original one wore out. And while it does work, apparently these things don't like retail packaged 5 watt PL bulbs. He said that the new bulb he put in it was very hard to start, which is very weird. Definitely not a standard retail packaged Osram bulb in one of these, because apparently the Ballast doesn't even like actual retail packaged bulbs. So I don't use this thing a lot. I don't want to wear out the bulb too much. Already I have gotten some slight, ever so slight blackening on one leg there. That happened when I did a battery life test. I ran this until it dropped back into the starting phase when the batteries got too low, and of course that's an absolute no-no if you want to protect your the bulbs in your fluorescent lanterns. But I did it just that once for the test, and already I got a tiny bit of blackening. So, how much light do you get from one of these? Well, I'll turn my desk lamp off here, which is the only light I have running. And I'll turn the lantern on. And there you go. Very nice, especially since I've modified it. But you do get a lot of light out of one of these. Actually, it doesn't look as good on camera as it does in real life. But This thing is about as bright as the Rayovac Magnum, which is of course a 4-watt lantern. And the Rayovac Magnum also provides about 3.5 watts of power, so the power input for these two things are equal, and so it makes sense that you get about the same amount of light out of them. But yes, this is very nice. Very nice. Tiny little lantern. So much light that fits right in the palm of your hands. So there you go. Well, that's about all there is to show of the Radio Shack fluorescent pocket flashlight from around 1999. I think this is definitely a very cool fluorescent lantern, very small, you get a lot of light out of a small package. The fact that the power can be adjusted and it has a rapid start ballast just makes this thing overall very cool. And I'm glad I finally got one, because it took me over a year to find one of these after I learned about them. Because these do not show up on eBay very often, neither the Radio Shack nor the Osram ones. So I'm glad I finally got one. So, there it is. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you guys next time.